Open source trackers don't lie. The Atlantic has become a highway for American steel. In under 24 hours, over 50 fighter jets, including elite F-22 Raptors and F-35 stealth fighters, have touched down in the Middle East. This isn't a routine rotation. It's the arrival of a fifth-generation air wing designed to blind Iranian radar in minutes. In military doctrine, one carrier is a statement, two is a campaign. The world's most advanced warship, the USS Gerald R has been diverted from the Caribbean to join the USS Abraham Lincoln. This move effectively doubles U.S. strike capacity, allowing for 24-hour flight operations indefinitely and signaling readiness for a sustained conflict, not just a one-off raid. While the world watches the jets, the most telling move is the arrival of THAAD. By deploying these premier ballistic missile shields to Jordan and Israel, the Pentagon is systematically neutralizing Tehran's primary deterrent, its missile stockpile. It's pre-war sequencing 101. You harden your defenses before you clear the path for an offensive. As American steel moves into position, the political message from Washington is getting sharper. On Fox News, Vice President JD Vance confirmed the president has drawn red lines, and diplomacy is running on borrowed time.
I think the president has a lot of options. We do have a very powerful military. The president's shown a willingness to use it. He also has a remarkable diplomatic team. He's shown a willingness to use that too. And so what the president has been very clear with the Iranians, and actually I just talked to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner this morning about some of their negotiations, is the United States has certain red lines. Our primary interest here is we don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. We don't want nuclear proliferation. If Iran gets a nuclear weapon, there are a lot of other regimes, some friendly, some not so friendly, who would get nuclear weapons after them. That would be a disaster for the American people, because then you have these crazy regimes all over the world with the most dangerous weapons in the world. And that's one of the things the president has said he's going to prevent. Now, we would very much like, as the president has said, to resolve this through a conversation and a diplomatic negotiation. But the president has all options on the table. And, one thing about the negotiation I will say this morning is, in some ways it went well. They agreed to meet afterwards. But in other ways, it was very clear that the president has set some red lines that the Iranians are not yet willing to actually acknowledge and work through. So we're going to keep on working it. But of course, the president reserves the ability to say when he thinks that diplomacy has reached its natural end. We hope we don't get to that point. But if we do, that'll be the president's call.
Translation: Washington prefers a deal. But if Tehran refuses to recognize those red lines, the White House believes diplomacy has an expiration date.
It's one of the most hostile and also one of the most irrational regimes in the world. You can't have people like that have the most dangerous weapon known to man. It would be awful for our security. It would be awful for the future of our children.
Tehran isn't blinking publicly. As the U.S. buildup reaches a crescendo, the IRGC has launched live fire drills in the Strait of Hormuz. From unveiling the 2,000-kilogram khorramshahr 4 missile to threats of sinking warships, Iran is leaning into its asymmetric playbook, reminding the world they can still set the global energy market on fire if pushed into a corner.
The U.S. president keeps saying, "Our military is the strongest military in the world." The world's most powerful military can sometimes receive such a slap that it can no longer stay on its feet. They keep saying we have sent warships toward Iran. Okay, of course a warship is a dangerous device, but more dangerous than that is a weapon that can send that warship deep under the sea.
And if there was any doubt about the escalation ladder, Vance removed it.
Everything is on the table. We certainly want Iran to stop being a state sponsor of terrorism. They're one of the world's largest state sponsors of terrorism. There are a lot of ways in which they endanger America's national security, but the most important way they could is if they acquired a nuclear weapon, and that is the red line the President of the United States has consistently said.
The pieces of the midnight hammer are now in place. Unlike the surgical strikes of the past, this three-way buildup, air, sea, and shield, suggests a much broader target list and a total regional reset. As the two-week deadline in Geneva looms, the world is left wondering if these moves are a bluff to force a deal or the final rehearsal for a full-scale war.
Lasting agreements can only be achieved through mutual balanced commitments and respect for the legitimate rights of nations. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons explicitly recognizes the inalienable right of all state parties to develop, research, produce, and use nuclear energy, including enrichment, for peaceful purposes. This right is inherent, non-negotiable, and legally binding. It is not conditional upon political considerations, nor can it be suspended or reinterpreted arbitrarily. Any attempt to portray this right as revocable fundamentally contradicts the letter and the spirit of the treaty.